Those 7 words echoed through the packed school auditorium, followed by cruel laughter that bounced off the walls like a slap in the face. Standing center stage, clutching her notes with trembling fingers, was Anya. Her face burned red, not from the stage lights, but from the humiliation of being mocked in front of hundreds of students, teachers, and even parents. But they didn't know who they were dealing with. Anya was the new girl, quiet, reserved, and always sitting in the back row of the class. She had transferred mid-year, escaping the chaos of a broken home and the noise of a city that never stopped reminding her of all she had lost. Her father had walked out 2 years ago. Her mother worked 2 jobs to keep the lights on. Life hadn't handed her anything easily, but Anya was a fighter. Just not the kind the world recognized yet. At her old school, Anya had been the top debater. Quick, sharp, and commanding. But here, nobody gave her the chance. She was invisible, until the annual school talent show. It wasn't supposed to go that way. She had signed up for spoken word poetry, a personal piece titled, Unheard. It was about being underestimated, misunderstood, and pushed to the side. A raw reflection of her life. But before she even spoke her first line, someone from the crowd, Tanya, snickered loud enough for the mic to catch it. "Oh look, the mute girl's going to talk." The audience erupted with laughter. Some laughed nervously, others joined in to blend with the crowd. Tanya, the head of the popular clique, beamed at her success in belittling someone who didn't fit the mold. Anya froze. For a moment, everything inside her crumbled. The silence stretched. Whispers filled the air like fog. A teacher off stage gestured to cut the mic. But just then, Anya exhaled. Deep, controlled, as if she had been preparing for this exact moment her entire life. She stepped forward, and then she spoke. I was 6 when I learned what silence tastes like. Like tears swallowed in dark bedrooms. Like the breath you hold when you hear screaming through walls. Like prayers whispered into pillows hoping someone, anyone, hears. The room stilled. Each word she spoke hit like a wave. Her voice, soft but steady, sliced through the tension. Her poem wasn't just words, it was truth. She spoke of being overlooked, bullied, and laughed at. She spoke of her mother's strength, of nights spent studying by candlelight, of walking into schools and being stared at like an alien. She called out how cruelty was often disguised as popularity. How laughter at another's pain doesn't make you powerful, it makes you small. Every line peeled back another layer. Of her, of the people in the room. Even Tanya's grin slowly faded. When Anya ended her piece, there was no immediate applause. Just silence. A silence filled with realization. Then, one clap, then another, and another, until the entire auditorium was on its feet, giving her the ovation she had always deserved but never received. The next day at school, things weren't magically perfect. But things had changed. Tanya walked up to Anya in the hallway. For the first time, her voice held no mockery. "That was powerful," she muttered, avoiding eye contact. "I didn't know." Anya didn't smile. She didn't need to. "Now you do." That was all she said before walking past, not with arrogance, but with the quiet dignity of someone who had finally reclaimed her voice. In the weeks that followed, Anya's poem spread like wildfire. Teachers invited her to perform in other schools. Students who had never spoken to her started sharing their own stories. The school launched a Voices Unheard project, encouraging open mic events and peer support groups. The walls that had once echoed with mockery now echoed with understanding. Because sometimes, the greatest revenge isn't cruelty or rage, it's courage. It's the unshakable force that rises within you when the world is content to keep you small. Courage doesn't come in shouts or fists or loud victories, it comes in quiet defiance, in trembling voices that refuse to stay silent, in standing your ground when your knees want to buckle. It's walking back into the same room that broke you and choosing to own it, not because it feels safe, but because you finally understand your worth has never depended on their approval. Courage is when your heart still aches but you choose to speak anyway. It's when you take every scar, every name they threw at you, and instead of hiding them, you wear them like armor, not to show off, but to remind yourself that you survived. It's not about proving them wrong, it's about proving yourself right. About trusting that you have something inside you stronger than their laughter, more powerful than their judgment. You don't need to shout to strike back. You don't need to be cruel to rise above. Sometimes, the most legendary revenge is simply choosing to become the version of yourself they never saw coming. The one who didn't shrink. The one who refused to break. The one who turned pain into power. The one who found her voice in the very moment they tried to silence her. Courage is standing alone on that stage when every cell in your body says to run. Courage is feeling the sting of their laughter and still choosing to speak your truth anyway. It's letting your soul bleed through your words and not flinching when they see who you really are. It's trusting that vulnerability isn't weakness, it's the purest kind of strength. When Anya stood on that stage, she didn't strike back with insults or revenge. She didn't return cruelty for cruelty. She stood tall, with shaking hands and a fire in her chest, and she let them feel the weight of her truth. And the truth crushed every whisper, every laugh, every judgment. That is courage. That is what it means to strike back like a legend. Not by destroying others, but by becoming unshakable yourself. It's standing tall when they expect you to fall. That's where the real transformation begins. Not in applause or recognition, but in that quiet, defiant moment where you choose not to collapse under the weight of judgment. Because falling is what they count on. They wait for your shoulders to droop, for your voice to crack, for your spirit to wither so they can feel taller in comparison. But when you refuse to break, when you breathe through the shaking, blink through the tears, and raise your chin anyway, you rewrite the narrative they tried to script for you. Standing tall isn't about pretending you're not hurt, it's about owning the pain and deciding it won't control your next step. It's about feeling the shame, the doubt, the fear crawl under your skin, and still planting your feet as if the ground beneath you belongs to you and no one else. It's a rebellion in its most graceful form, a rebellion against the version of yourself they tried to reduce you to. When Anya stood there, ridiculed and alone, she could have run. She could have let her legs give out, let the laughter wrap around her like chains and drag her into silence. And no one would have blamed her. That would have been expected. But instead, she stood tall. Not because she wasn't afraid, but because she was. Because something in her knew that surrendering in that moment would be more painful than any mockery thrown her way. Her strength wasn't about the applause that came later. It was about that single choice she made in the face of humiliation, to remain standing. That choice said more than any performance ever could. It was a message, silent yet deafening. You will not define me. And that's the power of refusing to fall. It shakes the people who tried to push you down, because they realize their power was never real. It dismantles the illusion that cruelty can control outcomes. And most importantly, it tells every quiet, hidden part of yourself that you are stronger than you thought. Standing tall is not just a physical posture, it's an emotional victory. It's the invisible battle cry that says, I may be hurting, but I'm still here. It's 1,000 voices in your head screaming that you're not enough, and you responding by showing up anyway. Every moment you don't fall when they expect you to is a revolution. A rebellion against doubt, a declaration that you matter. You don't have to roar to be powerful. Sometimes, your stillness is what shakes the world. That's what Anya did. In front of a crowd that was waiting for her to crumble, she rose. In the face of every voice that doubted her, she became her own. And the beauty of that moment wasn't just in her bravery, it was in the realization that strength has many forms. And the rarest, most legendary kind is the strength to stand tall when no one else is standing with you.